This is the new Zuiko 8 to 25mm lens from Olympus. I'm Gavin Hoey, and over the last couple of days I've been really lucky to have a bit of time with this lens, put it through its paces and see what it can do. Let's do the tech bit first of all. This lens has an aperture that varies between f4 wide open and f22 fully closed down. Now that f4 aperture is available at all focal lengths, which for this lens varies between 8mm at the wide end and 25mm at the other end. Now if you're more used to a 35mm full frame format, that's the equivalent field of view of a 16 to 50mm lens. So effectively, this is a super wide angle lens that is also a lens that gives you a field of view more like you'd see with your eyes. And that makes this a really versatile little lens. I could easily see this becoming my new favourite walk-around lens. It's certainly aimed at the outdoor photographers because this lens is from the Olympus Pro range of lenses. That means it's basically weather sealed, it's dust-proof, it's freeze-proof to -10 degrees centigrade, and it's splash-proof as well. It's a really small, lightweight lens. You're not going to notice this in your camera bag. It really will fit in nicely. But it's got a neat trick up its sleeve because even when you make it, well, pretty much as small as it will go, it has a collapsing facility to make it even smaller. So effectively, what I've got here is a standard lens that doubles up as a super wide angle lens, and that might be reason enough to get it. But if it's the wide angle end of this lens that you really love, you should consider the existing Olympus 7 to 14mm. This lens has a couple of advantages. Yes, it's 1mm wider than the 8 to 25, which doesn't sound like much, but it does make a difference. More usefully, it's a whole stop brighter, which means double the amount of light gets through, so if you shoot in low light, this is definitely the lens to go for. But the 8 to 25 has a few advantages of its own. The obvious advantage is that this lens has 11mm more reach, which is actually quite significant. It's also smaller, lighter, and a bit cheaper than the 7 to 14mm, which is definitely an advantage. And then there is the lens hood. So this lens, I can actually remove the lens hood, and underneath that I have the big advantage for this lens, an actual filter thread. So this is a 72mm filter thread. That's a size that's common on other Olympus lenses, and it means that I can put on things like a polarizing filter, an ND filter for long exposures during landscape, and if you're a video shooter, then you can also put your ND filters on here, and that means you can actually use this lens for video work. When it comes to quality, this lens is great. In use, it's super quick to focus, and to my unscientific eye, looking at the results, they look crisp and sharp. Even when I push this lens to the maximum aperture or the minimum aperture with the wide lens or the 25mm end of this lens, they all looked great. It handled flare really well, and the out of focus bokeh, even for an f4 lens, looked pretty good too. Of course, being an Olympus Pro lens, it feels really solid. There's a lovely weight and balance to the lens, but it's got some pro features like the manual focus clutch, pull it back for manual focus, push it forward for autofocus. Everything about this lens just feels really well made. If you want to find out more information about the Zuiko 8 to 25mm lens, you'll find a link in the description below to Adorama's website. Of course, if you've got any questions or you've enjoyed this video, pop a comment down below. Click on the bell icon so you never miss a video right here on Adorama TV, and of course, click on that subscribe button. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching.